Welcome back. Alright, so now we're going to try and figure out what the limit as x gets close to 0 of 1 over x squared is equal to. Okay. Alright, so the function here is 1 over x squared, so that's why I have f of x equals 1 over x squared here. Okay, to get our minds wrapped around what's going on, let's just start with the table of values, and then we'll figure out then you'll get your mind wrapped around what the graph looks like, and many of you might already know what this graph looks like from your pre-calc class. Okay, so let's think about what is f of 1. Okay, f of 1 is going to be 1 over 1 squared. We all know that's 1. Okay, f of negative 1 is a 1 over negative 1 squared, again, 1. Okay, so let me give myself a little more room here, put a 1 and a 1. Okay, now let's think about what happens to 1/2 when we put it in the function here. Okay, f of 1/2, following our rule here, is 1 over, put a 1/2 in there, we put a 1/2 right there. Okay, now playing around with this a little bit, let's see, we have 1 over 1/2 squared is a 1/4. Now using the flip up rule, we see this is 4 over 1 or 4. So we have a 4 there. Now notice that we put a negative in there. Nothing changes because a negative 1/2 squared is a positive 1/4. Okay, so here we have a 4 still. Now think about what's, if we put in a 1/4 here, we got a 1/4 positive. This gives me a 4 squared, so 1/16. 16 over 1, so a total of 16. Okay. All right. Let's just try one more. Okay. And so to give myself a little more room here, notice that 1/2 goes to 4, negative 1/2 goes to 4. So I'm just going to write it like this. Plus or minus 1 goes to 1. Plus or minus 1/2 goes to 4. Plus or minus 1/4 goes to 16. Now let's look at plus or minus 1/10. Okay. Let's think about that. We got plus or minus 1/10. Now again, this whole idea with the plus or minus thing, the reason why I can do this is because I'm squaring here. Squaring a plus or a minus just makes it positive. Okay, so we don't have to worry about the plus or minus because the square takes care of that for us. Alright, so we have 1 over 10 squared. Okay, using the flip up rule, we get 10 squared, which we know is 100. Okay. So now, this should help you to kind of get your mind sort of wrapped around what I'm going to do here, and that is when I draw the graph of f of x equals 1 over x squared looks like so. And now think about that. As x approaches 0, as x approaches 0, see, 1 is much bigger than a 1/4, right? So here we have x approaching 0. It's getting closer to 0. As x approaches 0, 1 over x squared, this thing just gets gigantic. This thing gets huge. Right? You can see as x gets small here, as x gets closer and closer to 0 here, here, and here, you see that 1 over x squared gets huge. 1 over x squared gets bigger, it gets huge. Right, so the mathematical equivalent of getting huge is infinity. As x gets closer to 0, let's see, what would be another one? Plus or minus 1/100th. Let's see, 1/100th. Putting that into our function, let's see, we have 1 over 1/100th squared. So that's going to be 1 over 100 squared. Let's see, what's 100 squared? 100 squared, that's 100 times 100. Let's see, we got a 0 and a 0 and a 0. Okay, and then 10,000. So 1 over 10,000 is equal to 10,000. So putting in, as we get really close here, 1/100th, that's really close, right? 1/100th, we're getting really close. We put 1/100th into our function and we get out 10,000. So it's getting huge. Really close here, 1/100th is close. Our function value is huge. So as x approaches 0, the limit as x approaches 0 of 1 over x squared is infinity. Gets huge.